Bills Mafia, I hope you are ready to slam down on some tables because on today's show, we're going to be breaking down a full 7-round mock draft with just a few days away from the NFL Combine. My name is Trace Moustakis. Welcome into the Bills Breakdown by Chat Sports. I am so happy to be bringing you full coverage surrounding your favorite team right here on the channel. Now, before we break down our full mock draft, I need your help with something, guys. Come on. 10 subscribers away from 1,500. That is so doable, it's not even funny. In fact, we should not only slaughter 10 subscribers, we should be able to get 25, like super easy. So do me a favor, hit that big red sub button, go ahead, it's completely free, and keep up to date with everything around the Buffalo Bills right here on Chat Sports. Now, before we get into the full mock draft and the player selection of the mock draft, let's take a look at our draft picks for this year. Look at that. Oh, it's beautiful. A nice little round 130 overall, number 56. You got a couple round 2 picks. Then some sneaky little compensatory picks that we got there. Very nice. Rounding it out with 3 round 6 picks and 0 round 7 picks. So what do we do with our very first number 30 overall selection? The Buffalo Bills select Nic Scourton, defensive lineman or edge out of Texas A&M. Now, my brother actually goes to Texas A&M, so I got to witness Scourton play firsthand. And when I tell you this dude's an absolute athletic freak, I'm being 100% right on the money. This guy has all of the traits that you want out of an interior defensive lineman, but also somebody that can get to the quarterback. I mean, just look what he did in 2024. The tackles is not going to be super high up on that mark, but look at the tackles for loss. That's the one I want to highlight the most. 14 tackles for loss. He is by far disrupting the rush, and that is one area the Buffalo Bills need to get better at in its entirety. We were not good last year at stopping the run. And Scourton, if you're wondering, you're like, okay, well, this sounds really good in theory. He's a good run blocker. But what does everybody else think of him? Well, believe it or not, number 2 ranked D lineman on Mel Kiper's big board. He falls behind guys, of course, like Abdul Carter. But when it comes to a solid plug-and-play number 1 defensive lineman in the draft, this dude is right up there with the best of them. He will be an immediate fix to your run-stopping woes, and he can actually get after the quarterback in a 4-man rush. So do you want to draft Nic Scourton? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I'm going with the big fat Y on this one. Give me Nick from Texas A&M with our first round 1 pick. Coming in with our number 2 round pick, or number 2 round pick, I should say. Number 56 overall, cornerback from UK, Maxwell Hairston. And I was doing a little bit of a deep dive on Hairston, and I found out some very interesting things. He's a little bit undersized for the position. He only weighs about 186 pounds, which you might be looking at and you're like, God, he's going to get tossed around. But he's really, really fast. Lateral quickness is the name of his game, and he is by far a productive player, or at least he was at Kentucky. Now, he did miss 5 games last year with a shoulder injury, so keep in mind that 2024 statistic stuff doesn't look the best, but look at 2023, 11 pass breakups, 5 interceptions. He also had 2 touchdowns. So this dude is a playmaker at the quarterback position, I should say. And one thing that I've noticed about Hairston is the best way to describe his rate of play is he's an elite zone coverage back. I mean, this dude just knows how to cover one side of the field. He's not going to get beat over the top. You know, he's got too much quickness. He's got too much speed. He's not one of those players that is going to get, the big plays broken on him. He's an elite coverage back. Everything that he's got is in bursts to the football. Everything is in front of him. He keeps his eyes above field. He's got his receiver in his lock motion. This dude can absolutely play. And I think the only big question mark that Bills fans should have is, can he put on just a little bit more size? Because at 186 pounds, for a DB who's got to hit somebody, it's a little bit frail to be playing the position. So I like to see Hairston come in at our second round pick. And you might also be wondering, well, why does a zone coverage back matter? Well, the majority of NFL defenses are played with a 4-man rush now, and they play in zone coverage. It's very rare, unless you've got a lockdown cornerback 1, that you're going to see a ton of man-to-man being played. Now, in certain situations, obviously, right? If you're going to be blitzing and you want to play man-to-man coverage, it's a great way to ensure that you get to the quarterback and make the quarterback work for it. But for the most part, majority of NFL defenses and defensive schemes are played in zone coverage with 4 rushers going after the quarterback. So I really like Maxwell as a prospect. Coming in with our second round pick at number 62 overall, Carson Schwesinger from UCLA. Now, one thing that I've noticed about the Bills is that offensively, we're kind of locked, right? We've got a lot of good players. Josh Allen, we don't need any introduction. But defensively, we need to add a little bit more to the middle of our field. That starts with the defensive line and at linebacker as well. And if you look at Carson's numbers, 136 tackles, this is a dude that blankets the middle of the field. He's got a nose for the football. 9 tackles for loss. He's got 18 pressures, so he can also get after the quarterback at a higher rate. But I don't foresee him being a pass rusher, not somebody whose sole job is to go after the quarterback. And if you look at his pass rush grade, it's phenomenal. His run defense is a little bit worse, but I feel like he's more of a coverage back, and when he gets the opportunity to get after the quarterback, he's going to let all hell loose. But I feel like with that 136 tackle mark, you're looking at a guy that is a plug-and-play linebacker, right? You plug him into this defense, Sean McDermott's defense, and you just let him go. He's going to be a guy that immediately year one, I could see having more than 85, 90 tackles in his first season as a rookie. He's got all the intangibles. He's got the size that you want. He's one of those players that I think he'd be a little bit of a higher grade if he could get after the quarterback just a little bit more. But for what you're getting in the middle, late second round, I think Carson's a great pick. Now let's shift over to some offense because we have to at least address the offensive unit, right? Jaylin Noel, wide receiver out of Iowa State. And he's one of these players that I was watching a little bit of film on, and I was talking to some of the guys here at Chat Sports, and they're really high on Noel, not because of his amazing size, not because of his blazing speed, but for the product you're getting as a route runner. This dude is really, really talented. Look at his career at Iowa State. 80 receptions, 66 receptions, 60 receptions, and then his freshman year, still learning the game at 39. But he's not a burner. You can see he never eclipsed 1,000 yards, and I think that's why his draft grade is so low. It's because he's not one of these players that's going to go burn you over the top. He's not going to have some incredible double move. But in terms of just creating space, getting separation, and finding the way to get open, that's exactly what you need. Keon Coleman is the guy that's going to burn you over the top. Shakir is a guy that's going to work out of the slot. This could be a player that is a solid number 3 or number 4 option for Josh Allen. And, instead of having Josh just take off when his 1 and 2 options aren't available and he has to run, maybe this is a guy that can get open and command 45, 50 receptions a year. I like him. He adds a nice little element to this Bills wide receiver room. Our second round number 4 pick coming in is Joshua Farmer, defensive lineman out of Florida State. And self-admittingly, this for me was a pick where I just wanted to plug the defensive line, right? I felt like, hey, we've already gone with a couple of guys that can get after the quarterback. We've covered the middle of the field. Now we just need a big body dude to go in there and just be a physical dominating presence. And at 314 pounds, Farmer is just that. He's not going to blow you away with his statistics. I mean, 32 tackles, 6 tackles for loss, 7 tackles for loss. But remember, it's a round 4 pick. This is a guy that just can command another spot on the defensive line. And solidifying the defensive line is the number 1 priority for the Buffalo Bills. We saw last year how Buffalo struggled to stop the run in certain games. And I feel like this is the final piece that can kind of tweak Buffalo and get them to be a Super Bowl contender and not lose to Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs in the AFC Championship every single year. So those are my first 4 picks. And now we have to go to our next 5. My first 5 picks, and now we go on to our next 5. Now, round 5 and beyond, I'm going to be very, very clear. They're just depth picks, right? Most of these guys are, it's very rare to find a gem in the later rounds. You see it happens from time to time, but most of these guys are either going to be depth players or struggling to find a roster spot. So I thought I would just combine some of these players right off the gate. And how about some more corner help, right? We've seen that the Buffalo Bills could use a little bit of extra help just everywhere possible, and it starts with these two guys, Xavier Scott and Dorian Strong, one out of the University of Illinois and Virginia Tech at 171 and 175 overall. Now, Scott and Strong, very similar players, although they don't have similar builds. Scott is more of your coverage back. Strong is more of your physical, aggressive, big-body defensive back. And you could just tell, based off of their tackles, Strong doesn't have nearly as many because he plays so aggressively. Scott's more of the sit-back coverage. He's got a little bit more skill to him. Dorian Strong is quite literally what his name indicates. He's just strong. And I think these two dudes, play in a pinch. If somebody goes down and you're like, hey, we got to throw someone in there who understands the scheme, these are two guys that could absolutely help. Now, before we get any further on with our draft targets, how about a player that you want to see the Buffalo Bills draft? Put it down in the comments section below. I'm going to make this the pinned comment of today's video, and I would greatly appreciate it if you were able to throw it down there and let us know who you think the Bills should take. Now, speaking of depth picks, Addison West and Seth McLaughlin, you can never have too many offensive linemen, especially because we've seen that protecting the quarterback, especially like a guy with or like Josh Allen, is a very, very strong need for a lot of teams. And, Addison West coming out of Western Michigan, he's one of those guys that he's not going to make or break a team. In fact, he's probably going to be a career backup. He doesn't have the greatest size. He's only 6'3". But again, strong enough, put him in the right scheme, say, hey, listen, somebody goes down, you're going to be the guy that we call upon. And same thing with McLaughlin. McLaughlin's a center. He's one of those guys that, hey, your play caller, your snapper goes down, you've got to be able to step in a pinch and help out the team any way that you can. And one thing that I will say about McLaughlin that I really, really enjoy, he just won a national championship at Ohio State. So winning and in a winning culture is also something that he's very used to. So I feel like you're going to get the most out of him. And rounding out our final pick, Theo Wease, junior wide receiver out of MIZZOU. And I don't know why I'm so high on Theo Wease. I think it's probably because he's fast. He runs a 4.4, but I'm not going to lie. Luther Burden was the star wide receiver at MIZZOU last year. Wease just kind of was a player. He was a receiver. I saw a couple flashes from him this year where you're like, ooh, he made a little bit of noise. He made a little bit of movement, a little bit of electricity in the air. But truthfully, again, all of these guys, depth players, could he be a fifth or sixth option for the Bills? Yeah, it's possible, but most likely going to keep him on the practice squad and just kind of see where it goes. If you need to call him up, you call him up, then that's great. But most likely, more than often than not, he's going to be a practice squad player. So that's all I've got. Grade my mock draft, Bills Mafia. Tell me exactly how you feel today's went. You can give me an A, you can give me a B, C, D, or if you think I suck, give me a big fat F. But I feel like those are some key pieces the Bills are needing to just make sure that they get a little bit better. Again, 13-4, it's not necessarily something that you need to, you don't have to reinvent the wheel for this. All you have to do is make some fine-tune adjustments, and I feel like the Bills will get better and better and hopefully get their way to a Super Bowl. That's all for me. Make sure to subscribe, like the video, and comment. We will see you all in the next episode. Take care.